Hola, ¿qué onda mi gente? Bienvenidos a nuevo video. In este video, I'm going to be telling you guys how I learned Spanish in just 3 years. So a lot of people have been asking me ever since I started speaking Spanish on my TikToks and Instagram. They've just been like, can you please show me how you learn Spanish? What did you do? Any tips, tricks? So I said, you know what? I got y'all. I'm gonna just make a video because so many people have been asking me. So without further ado, vamos a comenzar. First, I'm going to give you guys a little backstory on why I decided to learn Spanish. I was already taking Spanish classes at my school. Like, they were required at my high school, so we had to take 2 years of foreign language. I chose Spanish because I'll probably be able to use Spanish more if I ever get to use this language. And I was taking classes for about 2 years. I wasn't really interested in learning Spanish until about a year ago when my friend invited me to her quinceañera. And when I tell you guys, I fell in love with like the Mexican culture. That was my first time seeing anything like that, and the dancing, the music. I just loved everything. So after that, I was like, I'm gonna learn Spanish because there's just, I don't know, I just loved everything about it. So, and plus I always kind of wanted to become bilingual because every time I'd be out in public and I would hear somebody speaking another language, I'd be like, that's really cool. I really want to be able to communicate with somebody like that. So I learned Spanish, and I'm just gonna put it this way. If you think you're too old to start learning, you're not too old. I started learning when I was 14, but I know people that started in their 20s, 30s, and they still picked it up. So all you have to do is try. Okay, so the first tip that I'm going to share with y'all is you need to start with the basics. How did you learn English? You didn't just start speaking, you didn't just start reading, you had to learn the alphabet. And the same thing goes for Spanish. You have to start all the way over like you would if you were learning English. Well, I learned the alphabet in my Spanish class, but if you're not taking a class or anything like that, I think you should go on YouTube and you should look up Spanish alphabet. There's so many different songs and videos to help you learn the alphabet. And you should learn the alphabet and also the sounds that the letters make, because that's going to help your pronunciation so that you sound like a native speaker. And what I mean by that, like ABC in Spanish, the letters are A, B, C, but the sounds they make are A, B, K. And if you know the sounds that the letters make, it's just gonna help you sound more natural. The next tip that I have for you guys is to take a Spanish class. But I mean, that's probably not practical for everybody. So if you can't take a Spanish class, then I do recommend that you find some videos on YouTube. I'm gonna put some videos down below, some really good Spanish lessons, some beginner lessons. And if you are gonna take a class, do not expect to become fluent just off of a Spanish class, because it's not gonna happen. Because how many people do you know that told you, oh, I took Spanish in high school, but I don't remember a word of it? It's just not gonna happen like that. But Spanish classes are really good for helping you learn basic words, basic phrases, basic things to communicate, help you with vocabulary, you know, learning just words in general, and being able to speak in different tenses. So the next strategy I have for you guys is try downloading some apps and playing some games that it will help you develop your vocabulary skills and help you remember different words. An app that I used was Duolingo, which I'm not even gonna lie to you, Duolingo is not all that, but it does help you if you're very, very beginner. There are different little games that you can play on the app that help you learn different words, and it's kind of fun, but it's just very basic. And there is another app that I use on my phone. I believe it's called Memrise. I'm gonna put it right here so you guys can see what I'm talking about. This app, I actually liked it a little bit more than Duolingo. So check those apps out. So the next tip that I have for you guys is listen to Spanish music. And that is one of the most fun things ever, because I'm gonna be real with y'all, I did not even know all these different types of Spanish music existed. I was very like closed-minded. I only thought, okay, it's just mariachi, and not even trying to be, I'm not even joking. But I just started looking for different things on YouTube, like Spanish music, and I found reggaeton, and reggaeton is kind of like rap / hip-hop. slash pop, because it's kind of a bunch of things. And I mean, if that's not your style, there's so many different types of Spanish music out there. There's like, just like in English, there's literally something for any type of whatever you like. Whatever you like in English, I'm sure you can find it in Spanish. There's even rock, like heavy metal, everything. I've seen it all. So when you begin listening to Spanish music, I recommend that you translate the song lyrics while you listen to the music, which can be a little tricky. This is what I did. I would listen to a song. If I really liked it, then I would go on YouTube, search for the lyrics. And while the song is playing, like after I would get through that page of lyrics on the video, I would pause and then go through and try to see if I could make out what the song lyrics were saying. And if I came across a word I didn't know, I would look it up. Or if I was just confused about the whole passage, I would just look it up and try to make sense of it. It's really good and really important to translate the song lyrics, because that is going to help you learn new phrases. It's also going to help you learn words that you won't learn in your Spanish class or won't learn on the app, because there's just so much. You can't expect to learn it all in one place. So yeah, and then depending on what type of music that you end up listening to, you might find words that are specific to that region. Like I listen to a lot of Mexican music, so a lot of the words that are in those songs are only used in Mexico, if that makes sense, because every country speaks Spanish differently. So the next tip I have for you guys is very important. Now, it's not necessary. I mean, you can learn Spanish without doing this, but it just makes the whole learning process so much more fun. And it is, choose a country to focus on, choose a region, because every country speaks Spanish differently. And depending on who you're going to be using, like who you're going to be communicating with in Spanish, you might want to learn that type of Spanish so that when you're around those people, you won't be confused when they start speaking slang and they start using all these different words. And you're like, I didn't learn this in class, I didn't learn this. Because you're not going to learn the slang in class. There's so much slang, you can't. So I personally chose Mexico. I mean, obviously. But I chose Mexico because of its proximity to the US and because of the Spanish-speaking people that I was around. Where I'm from, there's majority Mexicans. I haven't really come across any Puerto Ricans, Dominicans where I'm from. But like, if you're from New York, you might come across more Puerto Ricans and Dominicans. Or if you're from Florida, you might come across more Cubans. So it all depends on where you live and who you're going to be communicating with. And you don't even have to base it off that. If you just like a certain accent and you want to learn Spanish the way that accent sounds because you like it, then I think that's a good idea, because it just makes it more fun too, because then you're exposed to different cultural aspects once you start learning about different countries. So you don't have to do this at all, but it just makes it so much more fun. Okay, so the next tip I have for you guys is to watch TV in Spanish. I watch telenovelas, which are basically like soap operas or sitcoms, and you can find a bunch of these on Netflix or YouTube. And personally, this was the hardest part for me because, you know, it's very difficult at first, but trust me, it's going to get better. So some examples of some telenovelas that I watched are, I'm gonna put the names right here, are Silvana Sin Lana, and that's on Netflix. It's really good. La Rosa de Guadalupe, they took that one off, but it was a really good show. Rebelde, La Reina del Sur, those are some really good ones. Before I even started watching those, I used to watch kids shows. So some kids shows that I used to watch were El Chavo del Ocho and El Chapulín Colorado. I mean, believe it or not, they really did help, even though they were for kids, because at that time my Spanish level was so basic, so elementary. I needed something simple. So kids shows are a really good option. And then once you feel like you're ready, then start watching movies. But I mean, movies, TV shows, about the same. And I just want to add that it is okay if you do not understand what's going on when you first start watching these TV shows, because I promise you, for the first 2 or 3 months, I would just be watching these shows and be relying on like what my eyes saw but not what my ears heard, because I wasn't understanding. But the more and more you do it, the more you'll understand, and it's just all gonna start making sense. I cannot stress this enough. When you watch these shows or whatever you're watching, make sure you put Spanish audio and Spanish subtitles, because if you have English subtitles, your mind is gonna focus on reading the English and your ears are gonna block out the Spanish. But you want to train your ears, and the only way you can do that is if you have Spanish subtitles and Spanish audio. Okay, so the next tip I have for you guys is very similar to the last one. YouTube. There's so many different Spanish speaking YouTube content creators, so there's something for everybody, just like with the music. If you like comedy, you can find funny Spanish speaking YouTubers on here. If you like lifestyle or makeup or vlogs or family, couples, anything, you can find it on here. Another tip for you guys, this one really just depends on what you're into. If you like seeing memes on social media, then I recommend that you find some Spanish ones. Mexican memes are very funny, I will put it that way. I haven't seen a lot of memes from other different countries, but Mexican memes are hilarious. And memes really do help you learn words that you're not going to learn in your class and that you probably won't hear anywhere else. So it sounds funny, but it really works. Now that you're ready, now that you've practiced, now that you've learned so many new skills, you've learned so many new words, it's time to put those words into practice. So if you don't have Hispanic friends or anybody to practice with, it's okay, because I didn't either. I recommend that you just try to use Spanish as much as you can, whether that's like, I know this might sound weird, but everybody talks to themselves. So if you're talking or just like, you know, going throughout your day, use Spanish. But yeah, so if you're working or if you have a job where you come in contact with a lot of different people, just ask them politely if you can speak Spanish with them, if you can practice with them, and just go from there. Because, okay, I'll give you an example. So I work in a grocery store, right? And there's this guy who came in and he had on a Mexico mask. So I was like, okay, you're Mexican. So I asked him, do you speak Spanish? I was like, ¿hablas español? And he was like, sí. So I asked him if I could speak to him in Spanish, like, because I was ringing up his groceries. So, you know, we just talked or whatever, had a little Spanish conversation. I told him his total in Spanish and, you know, everything like that. I just finished out the transaction in Spanish, and that was that. So if you have a job where you can practice your Spanish, try to practice it as much as possible. Or if you have a significant other that is Hispanic, or if you have friends that are Hispanic, ask them to only speak to you in Spanish. And I know it's going to be hard, but you're going to learn very, 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 very fast that way. Unfortunately, like I said, I did not have that, so I got more listening practice than I did speaking practice because I just didn't have the resources. If there's a will, there's a way. If you want to learn Spanish, you're going to learn it. Like, I'm telling you guys, living proof. But yeah, that's basically it. The very, very, very last thing I'm going to end with is I'm going to tell you guys to practice every single day for at least 30 minutes, whether that is practicing writing Spanish, practicing reading Spanish, going over vocabulary, words, hearing Spanish. You need to listen to Spanish, whether that's, you know, watching the TV shows, watching YouTubers, watching a movie, listening to music, anything like that. Just make sure that you do something in Spanish every day so that you're always building on your skills. And you guys, I promise you 100% that is everything that I've done for the past, I'm going to say for the past 2 years. It's been a total of 3 years now since I've been learning, and I am 100% fluent. So if I can do it, anybody can do it. I know this video was probably all over the place because I kept forgetting things, but I hope hopefully this made sense to you guys. Hopefully this is very helpful for all of y'all that are trying to learn Spanish out there. And if you know anybody that's trying to learn, pass this video along, share it with them. And yeah, si les gusta este video, no te olvides a darle un like, suscríbanse y dejen sus comentarios abajo. Los veo en el próximo. Bye.